The first pressing question for me in the Big 12 as it relates to spring practice is Oklahoma going to lead the country in attendance for a spring game for a second consecutive year? Yeah, I'm fired up. I'm fired up because Oklahoma showed out in 2022. It's not just that they showed out for Brent Venables, who was getting his first opportunity to be a head coach at any level. It's that it was more about, hey, we are still in this. The pro team in the state of Oklahoma is still the Sooners. I know we got the Thunder and everybody's happy when they do well, but let's not get it twisted. We've been playing college football since the 19th century. Everybody knows what it is, and we got to show what that is. When you get 73,000 people to a football game, to a practice in April, yeah, you're serious about the football. And you know what? We were excited. We were very excited. Turned out we were a little ahead of our skis on that one. I'm using that metaphor because I know what it means, because it means you're going to trip over and fall, not because I'm going to ski. Look at me, I'm not a skier. But you get the point here, right? Oklahoma is expected to contend for the Big 12 championship in 2022. Didn't do that. Finished 6-7. Now, why am I bullish on Oklahoma in 2023? Well, Brent Venables going into year 2 has made some changes, right? Also, get a little bit more stability. But more than that, you got some dudes that I want you to know about, all right? But before I get to the dudes, I do need to, once again, remind everybody, it's not just that Oklahoma had the best attended spring game in all of college football last year at 75,360 folks. It's that the defending national champions that year and this year, Georgia Bulldogs, had just 68,000. It's not as if that's a small number, but you get my point here. 68,000 people attend their spring game. 60,000 people attended Ohio State's spring game. And because I'm surrounded by USC folks working on the show, 33,427 people attended USC's spring game, to which they would like to tell me and remind me often, hey, RJ, it's sunny. Hey, RJ, we have stuff to do. Hey, RJ, we pay $7 for gas when you pay $2.73. Yeah, all right. Some of us are real serious about our football year round and not just when the football team is good. Now, I've said my piece on that. We will move on to it, to some players that I really think that you ought to be looking forward to seeing at Oklahoma. A couple of these are going to be playing in spring football. Some of these are not, but we're just going to go through there because I believe that these transfers that Oklahoma has coming in deserve your attention. Now, Emeka Megwa is a running back, transfers in from Washington. I don't expect to see a bunch of him. I think even Brent Venables said as they started spring practice on Monday, he's not expecting to get a whole lot out of him, but having Megwa on that running back depth chart is going to help tremendously with Javonte Barnes and Gavin Sawchuk doing what they do in that backfield behind Dylan Gabriel. You also get Michigan wide receiver Andrell Anthony transferring in. Yes, that dude who could take the top off the defense at Michigan. And frankly, very excited to see what he can do with Marvin Mims going to the NFL draft. Marvin Mims, who was outstanding in his career at Oklahoma. I believe Andrell Anthony has the goods to be a dominant number 1 wide receiver and, frankly, punt returner, kick returner type, right? Also, Oklahoma going back to good. South Carolina tight end Austin Stogner, who was once Oklahoma tight end Austin Stogner, is now once again Oklahoma tight end Austin Stogner. Now, when it was working with he and Spencer Rattler in Norman, it was working really well. You can do a whole hell of a lot worse than having a 6'6", 240-pound dude that can catch passes over anybody to throw passes to if you're Dylan Gabriel. It's going to help quite a bit as you're asking for a lot out of guys like Drake Stoops going into 2023. Also, you get real stability on the offensive line. Now, that was a point of contention, and frankly, I'm worried about it going into spring football with Anton Harrison going into the NFL draft. Chris Murray is also gone. You need a guy like tackle Walter Rouse, who's transferring in from Stanford, who's played, my goodness, 39 games of football and over 2,500 snaps. If he's a left tackle or right tackle, that's good news, right? I'm really interested to see, by the way, what Nate Anderson might be able to do at that center position. When he first signed with Oklahoma, he's one of the more athletic types that Bill Bedenbaugh has signed since he became the offensive line coach at Oklahoma nearly a decade ago. Another guy to watch for, my man, Tyler Wojak, our senior producer, our lead producer on this show here. He's familiar with Jacob Lacey, okay? Defensive tackle coming from Notre Dame. I expect him to contend for reps. By the way, we're going to talk a bunch about the defensive line at Oklahoma for the spring and, frankly, into the fall, because we didn't see what we needed to see out of Todd Bates' unit last year. Now, I understand everybody's getting used to stuff, but they were getting blown up off the ball, okay? And I love having guys that can come off the edge, but we got to have some beef in the middle if we're going to contend in this conference, all right? Jacob Lacey is going to help with not just the depth there, but also push those guys to get better in the middle. Wake Forest edge, Rondell Bothroyd, I think could be a star in the Big 12. If you looked at what his film was like and what his stats are like at Wake Forest, you'd be like, that guy could have gone in the NFL draft. He has not. He's going to be joined by a bunch of dudes that I think can play, right? Another transfer at that position, Indiana defensive end Deshaun McCullough. Yeah, he can go. He can get after it. You're going to join guys like Ethan Downs, who is a leader on that defense, guys like Reggie Grimes, who's leader on that defense, and have a real opportunity to make a dent there. I'm very excited to see those guys and what they look like going into this, 15 practices that are going to last somehow for a month, quite literally. I've always kind of been interested as to how people schedule out their spring practices and when they decide to do them, because it really is just 15 practices, but they try to make it last all semester, or they just try to all get it in, kind of like Michigan, which is, again, wild. All right, so the next pressing question that I have in the Big 12 revolves around the national championship runner-up Texas Christian Horned Frogs. That is not a sentence that I ever expected to utter in my life, but there it is. TCU, Texas Christian, is the national runner-up going into the 2023 season. Now, they came out of nowhere. And I would make the argument that nobody has come out of nowhere the way that Texas Christian came out of nowhere in 2022. 5-7 after a legendary head coach in Gary Patterson steps down. Sonny Dykes takes the job and hits the ground running with the backup quarterback after the starter got hurt early in the season. Now, many of the guys that you just became household names, right, to you are gone. Max Duggan, NFL. We're talking about Kendre Miller, also NFL. Amari DiMercado, NFL. Quentin Johnston, NFL. Garrett Riley, Clemson. So those are all just offensive guys that they lose. Not just playmakers, but also the guy that was calling the plays that they could make. Okay, so that means that Sonny Dykes has had to retool once again, just as he did in 2022, for this 2023 season. But if you are the glass half full kind of Texas Christian fan, and I don't know why you wouldn't be at this point, the best quarterback on campus was on the bench all last year, Chandler Morris. He won the starting job going into the 2022 season, and I have no reason to believe that he ain't going to be the guy going into 2023. It's about how quickly he picks up Kendall Briles' offense, who's come in from Arkansas to replace Garrett Riley, and what kind of relationship he can continue to build, because remember, he was a starter, with guys like Savion Williams, but also they got really, really good in the portal. Like last year, they used the portal to basically shore up what they thought they were going to need or have, and then turn wins into a national title run, quite literally, right? Now, you've got dudes that saw Texas Christian get into the playoff, beat the hell out of Michigan, and then, frankly, get the hell beat out of them in the national championship game. But playing the national championship game, that decided, you know what? I think I can go play at Texas Christian. And they are guys, you know. I mentioned, yes, Chandler Morris and Savion Williams, who are already there, who are going to be joined by Alabama transfer JoJo Earl, Alabama transfer Trey Sanders, Alabama transfer Tommy Brockermeyer. And that's before I start talking about guys like Jared Wiley transferring in from Texas, Jordan Hudson transferring in from like Missouri, so forth, so on. It's going to be fun, I think, to watch Texas Christian's spring game, because there are a bunch of guys that, if you are following recruiting, and if you listen to this show, watch this show, you do, that you would like to see in that purple and black and see what's really good. Also going into year 2 of Joe Gillespie and that 3-3-5, I'm excited for them, man, because now they know what they're doing. They know what they're capable of, and they can get themselves in position to try to go and get back to the Big 12 championship game. Because remember, they managed to be the national runner-up without winning the Big 12 championship. Again, I never thought that would happen in my lifetime. That's really kind of wild, kind of cool. The next pressing question I have for the Big 12 revolves around the Big 12 champion? Third question. That's how lopsided well, not even lopsided, just through the middle, just chunky the Big 12 is. Just chunky, just thick. You just like looking at it and you want to take it all in. That's where we are with Kansas State. Starting with, what can Will Howard do going into a full spring and frankly a full season, knowing he's the guy? Speaking of thick, 6'5", 243. That's Will Howard. I don't feel like outside of Manhattan, we say that enough. Because if I told you 6'5", 243, I'm also talking about a dude that's bigger than a dude that is being mentioned as a first-round pick in the NFL draft in Anthony Richardson. And frankly, if you want to, close your eyes, do what you got to do, with hues and values and tones, you can see how Will Howard can be Anthony Richardson, or better yet, better than Anthony Richardson, because I believe he threw 14 touchdown passes to 5 INTs. 15 touchdown passes to 4 INTs in 2022, coming off the bench, all right? And there were games when he looked like he absolutely could sling it. Now, the deuce is loose, okay? There ain't no Deuce Vaughn back there. Mighty Mouse is gone. The short king of short kings in 2022 is gone, but they're adding dudes, right? Trayshawn Ward's transferring in from Florida State. That dude was averaging 6.6 yards per carry for the Noles. Won 9 games and beat my Sooners. That was not pretty. I did not enjoy that. I like beating Florida State. I just do. I like beating Florida State. I don't like losing to Florida State in something called the Cheez-It Bowl. That ain't what I signed up for. That ain't what Oklahoma fans signed up for. But they also get a couple of other guys, like DJ Giddens, who was averaging 5.8 yards per carry when he got the opportunity to run the football. They're probably going to play the same style of Kansas State football that they've been playing, since Snyder got there, which is, we're not going to beat ourselves. We're going to pound the rock. We're going to make use of the quarterback in the run game. And frankly, if you're Colin Klein and you're looking at my man's Will Howard, you got to be looking at the mirror, kind of. I mean, seriously, take it back to 2012. Do some Optimus Klein stuff with Will Howard. 6'5", 243. All I'm saying is QB power is on the menu. QB counter is on the menu, especially knowing that you ain't got Deuce to carry the load for you. Like, I don't know if there's another All-American over there at Kansas State, but again, that is a reason to get to the spring game, right? You want to see, is Trayshawn Ward that good? Is Will Howard going to take the leap that we think he can? I mean, we're talking about a dude that could contend for Big 12 Offensive Player of the Year. Hello. Thank you for watching the #1 college football show. Please remember to subscribe to the channel and like this video so that you don't miss any of the best college football coverage in America.